Okay, well, hey everybody, this is Cleta Colson-Eyre, Executive Senior Sales Director, and it is December the 8th, 2019. And I am coming to you from Valdosta, Georgia, but since last Sunday, I have been all the way up to Pittsburgh, flew into Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Tuesday, and came back on Friday night, and then went to Jacksonville, Florida. So I've just kind of been all over the place. But tonight, I wanted to do a little recap of what I attended this weekend, and it was called a $1 Million Reunion. And the training was for sales directors. However, this is a boss babe call. So I know you guys are leaders, and whether you want to be a director or you just want to even just lead a small team, I feel like what I'm going to tell you, even though you may be a consultant, is still going to apply to you and you'll be able to use it. But this is a first time $1 Million reunion, and what they did is they invited every single national sales director and every single sales director who had ever done $1 million, done $1 million in retail production in a year, was invited to go to this event. So y'all know last year my goal was $1 million, and I had the flyer. I was so excited about going, and then those of you that know me, we missed it. We did 800,000. And so I was like, oh, that really bites, because I really wanted to go. Well, this particular reunion, they allowed every single director and national to bring a guest. If they had done $1 million, they could bring a guest. It had to be Cadillac director and a future executive director or higher, I believe, was the requirements. And so anyway, my good friend, Lisa Ann Harmon, who is a two-time $1 million sales director, invited me. And I thought, wow, okay. And, first I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to be like the only one there who didn't do $1 million, feel like a big fat loser. That's pride, isn't it? But anyway, of course, then I found out that everybody could invite someone. So anyway, I was so fortunate to be able to go. So the cool thing is that I did not, I didn't earn this trip by anything that I did. I just had a friendship with an amazing woman that invited me, right? And so anyway, that's how I was able to go. So in case you're watching this video and think, wait, how did you get to go and I didn't get to go? So that's how. And so, next time I'm sure I'm going to have to earn it to be able to go, right? But it was one of the most amazing events that I've ever attended, because if you think about it, it's the best of the best. The nationals, every national that came had done $1 million while they were a sales director, and many of them are still doing $1 million production with their unit even as a national, but they don't get recognized for it. And then all the $1 million directors, but we were taught by the national sales directors. And so the focus was on sort of maybe doing $1 million, but also becoming a national, and basically just how to build a jamming business, And so there were different classes. So I'm going to be trying to share from the classes that I took. There may be some other directors that took a different class, but I did the old-fashioned way and wrote down my notes this time. And so these are all the pages of notes that I took. I don't even know how many pages, but I just wrote my little fingers off. And so I topped them up this afternoon. I don't know much I'll get to it. And, just like if you've ever been to seminar and then try to tell someone how seminar is, you got to be there, right? But it was, the difference is the women that were there, they work at a higher level. They're not just trying to be a director, they're a $1 million director. They're just not trying to be a national sales director, they're inner circle national sales directors. They're nationals that are played really big. A lot of them became nationals and went straight in to diamond circle, inner circle, like their first year as a national. So these are I say the heavy hitters. We even had some of the national sales director emeriti there. And so that was a lot of fun. So I am just going to really go over the notes. I could spend an hour telling you how beautiful the resort was. When I drove up, I'm like, wow. I mean, it's in Farmington, Pennsylvania. I've never been there. I never heard of the place. It's called Nemacolin. And Nemacolin Woodland Resorts, and the spa is one of the best in the whole world. When you drive up, it looks like a Hallmark card. There was literally a huge red bow across part of the hotel. At night, it played Christmas music, did lights on it. It had a zoo. It has two PGA golf courses. Just, I really would like to go back. The room was spectacular. It was amazing. It was a magical event. Everywhere you walk, you just were going, wow, wow. I mean, I can't describe how pretty it was. And we had a snow the day before, so it really was just so, so nice. So anyway, we started on Friday night, and we started on Wednesday night, and we all gathered in this huge house, and they had food catered in. It was kind of like a house party. And so we just visited and got to sit by people that we didn't know, and just learn from each other and have fun, and just those relationships rekindled. And so that was just a really fun night, and we toured the property that day. And then the next morning, which was Thursday, we started around 1 o'clock, and then we had speakers, we had dinner, we had classes that night, and then the next day we went till about noon. So it was a power-packed event. And I do know lives were changed. And so I'm just going to kind of go over my notes with you, and hopefully you can get a nugget or two from it. I think the biggest thing for me it did is every single speaker puts God as their partner. They love Mary Kay Ash, and they love their Mary Kay business. And I say they're kind of grassroots leaders. They go back to what Mary Kay Ash originally taught us. Matter of fact, we got two gifts that are just invaluable to me. I haven't even had time to read them yet, but one of them is a book that says $1 Million Tips, and it's all the $1 million directors that have tips. All right, thank you. I'm going to be reading those. And then the other one was another book, and these were all stories provided by Jennifer Cook, Mary Kay's secretary, and it's stories about Mary Kay Ash. How special. So I'll be sharing these on our Boss Babe calls every week. I'll just read one of the stories and give you some of the tips of that. So let's get started. So the first speaker was Lisa Madsen. Lisa Madsen is, of course, these are all national sales directors. And it's funny because she was in the Ruby seminar. I remember her winning the Queen of Unit Sales many, many times before she became a national. Of course, she's an Inner Circle national, just an amazing leader. And she's been in around the same time I have, so I always felt a connection with her. I think we're probably around the same age as well. So Lisa started off, and she said that she had a quote by Nelson Mandela. And many people repeated this during the event, and it's that leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. Playing small does not serve anyone. Be commonly uncommon. And she said, you want everyone to look at you and say, if she can do it, I can do it. So you're just a uncommonly common person, right? And so, she used to tell the story how she was where she worked, and she had a smock, and it said Vicky on it. Didn't even have a right name. That's when she was chatterbooked to sell Mary Kay. Unbelievable, right? Just a commonly uncommon person. And so, or uncommonly common, I guess. But anyway, when she debuted as a national sales director, you guys, she had 667 unit members. She debuted with 22 first line. So she's someone that does not play small, right? She did 2 million 2 times as a sales director, and she continues to do million in her own unit right now, even as a national. So some of her tips that she gave is her first 2 years, she did 2 or 3 parties a week, 8 months in a row. 2 or 3 parties a week, 8 months in a row, and that got her to what? A pink Cadillac. Then 2 years, she won the Mary Kay Top Director trip. That June, she needed $50,000 to finish, $50,000 wholesale, when the highest that she'd done before was about $33,000. And she said she intentionally made a decision to pivot. She got in the space of her people 3 nights a week, and she completed it. And so sometimes, like if you're trying for a big goal and what you're always doing the same thing, you have to make a decision that if I just do exactly what I did last month, it's not going to change. You have to intentionally do something different. She worked with 5 key people in 5 areas at all times. And one of the things that I got from her that I really like is that every week she was in front of 25 guests. And these included like her own parties and her own and the success events. So that's 100 people, 100 women like guests that she was in front of per month. And in a year, that's 1,200 people face to face that she did her iStory and she shared the marketing. You know, the power is face to face. And she talked about how that it's not about your finesse and charisma. And a lot of people have that, but some people don't. And the people that have other things, grit, belief, vision, personal touch, they will outperform. They will outperform. Sorry about that. They'll outperform anyone that just has charisma and, you know, finesse, because they're worker bees, right? And they're face to face. So she talked about that fortune is in the follow-up. And this is one of the things, the very first, you know, class I had, and I circled it. I'm like, do this. So she followed up with every single guest or every single meeting with a phone call, thanking them for coming, told them that it meant the world to the person, like whoever invited her, that she showed up, and that you'll never know how much it meant to her. And then she asked for feedback of what did you like the best about the sales meeting? And then she also said, is there anything that you would change? And then she told her, she said, you know, every guest that she would ask at the meeting, which we all did this, you know, where are you, scale of 1 to 10? 1 would be you would never consider selling Mary Kay, and 10, you're ready to sign up tonight. And then she would always ask them on the phone. She would say, you know, I know you were a 6 out of 10 at the meeting last night. Have you even given it another thought at all since then? And then she would go on to overcome objections with them. And so that, she said, do I really love to sit down and make those phone calls? Not really, but you have to make yourself. So this follow-up, and a lot of us, even consultants, you bring guests, they come, and then you don't call them back. You don't revisit them, you know. And directors, of course, we need to follow up on all our guests of our unit members that come to the meeting. Another thing she said is, do you really love Mary Kay? Are you married to Mary Kay? Or are you just dating? You know, dating is just fine. You go out when you want to. If you don't want to, you don't do it. Marriage is work, right? It takes sacrifice to stay together, to build it, to make it awesome. So are you married to your Mary Kay? Or are you just dating it, ready to break up anytime somebody makes you mad, right? So think about that. Building people builds production. What is your unit size? How many, even consultants, how many are on your team? But as a director, how many are you moving up every month? Are you looking at that? You know, how many seniors moved up? How many red jackets moved up? How many moved up to DIQ? Because when you're building your people, then that's when you're going to build your business. And one of the quotes that I love that she said, you don't use your people to build your business. You use your business to build your people. Because there's nothing more rewarding to see someone that you've recruited into Mary Kay do great things and make money, and that it's improved her life. It's just like you're raising your children when you see a personal team member just do great things. You just love it. That's what's the most fun about recruiting, isn't it? Is just to offer the opportunity and help them grow their business. She also said, always be asking yourself, who's next? Who's my next senior consultant? Who's my next red? Who's my next DIQ? Who's moving up? Continually ask yourself that. She did 29 years so far of $1 million production in a row, even as a national. 29 years. I think she knows what she's talking about. And she ended it by telling a beautiful story about how she took her whole entire family and grandchildren to Hawaii for a solid week. And she told everything that they did. And she got really emotional about it. And, she said she spent $50,000 on that 1 week. But that has always been her dream, to do that. And, what is your dream with your Mary Kay business? What could you save up money and do? I mean, you think your husband would appreciate a whole week in Hawaii? And she didn't stay at the, the Hotel 6. She stayed at a nice, beautiful place. And then she had her children, she read letters that her children wrote her, what it meant to them to be able to do that. And so, it really just would bring tears to anybody's eyes. The next speaker was Jenny Martin, and I'm going through kind of fast, but because I want to get most of it covered. Jenny Martin. Jenny Martin is a National Sales Director Emeritus. She is a straight talker, straightforward. She is an amazing national. I love to hear her speak because she's just like, I don't know. she just tells it like it is. And y'all know I kind of like to tell it like it is. So the first thing she says, events change people. And a lot of times you think you don't need to go to something. And there were people that actually had opportunities that could not go to this or maybe just didn't want to go. But events change your life because it's what you get from the event, not just the speakers, it's the whole atmosphere. So you guys, register for leadership conference if you're a director, register for career conference, get to your January jumpstart. Don't think I already know what to do, I just got to stay home and work. You never do. You end up scrolling Facebook and seeing what everybody's doing at the event that you decided not to go to. That's all from Cleta, not Jenny. But anyway, she really talked about dreaming and learning how to dream, and that dreaming keeps you focused. And she talked about the how, the why, the how, the who, and the what of Mary Kay. First of all, why would people want to be part of Mary Kay? What do we have to offer? And how do you invite people to Mary Kay? This was a big one that I circled, after I wrote it. And she said, and this is so true, you guys, I've been in for 34 years, and I can 100% vouch, that the starter kit is not a set to be sold at the skincare class and at the party. It's never meant to be marketed like that. When you suggest to a prospective team member, if you say these words, well, all you have to do is order $225 a year, and that keeps you as a consultant, and you get yourself at half price. Okay, now here's the thing. Yes, rare, sometimes people come in for personal use, and sometimes they get to a meeting, and sometimes they get the Mary Kay dream and they get it. I know that. That is the exception to the rule. But a lot of times when you say that to someone, so you're going to make, as of the recruiter, $9 commission on that one order a year, when you could have made $225 on $450 of products she would have bought, right? So really think about what you're saying. Mary Kay is something that we are giving them a gift to earn an income and dream and make their dreams come true. And she said, when you, that you can't just hope that she's going to get it and become a part of our culture and hope that she'll come to the meeting. That Mary Kay saw opportunities to help women make their dreams come to life. And if people are just selling and they're not doing parties at all, maybe they're just selling over the internet or whatever, then you don't see people, you can't hear their stories, you can't help make their dreams come true. And so she encouraged all of us to get a dream book, to actually get a book and put down everything that you dream about, where you want to live. I mean, anything that is on your dream list, maybe a vacation, for your family, the income you want to make, anything that you dream. It's kind of like your bucket list, but it's your dream list, and then visit that book several times a day. And, she said, you inspire people face to face. So that's how you invite people. So then the next, she talked about, who are you asking to be a part of Mary Kay? Who are you asking? And she asked us, and I'm going to ask you to do this. She asked us to write down a list of our last 5 personal team members. Write a list down, and then go through and put their age, their occupation, and what their dream is. And who on that list intimidated you? Who on your list of your last 5 recruits inspire you? Who excites you to work with them? And, she also said, you can't remember who your last 5 are. She said, that's a problem. And so, she talked about what's the medium age of our unit, what's the age range of those who recently joined our unit, that you choose who you want to invite to join us in Mary Kay, and that you're not desperate. You're not desperate. You're going to be selective. You're going to look for people who are future or goal oriented. She was talking about a class that she saw, and it was a younger, I think the director was like 24 years old or something. And she was talking about looking for shining stars in the millennials and, that age 24 to 30. And she said that what she does is she really looks people that are future or goal oriented. They're educated, they're natural born leaders, they're respectful, put together, they take the opportunity seriously, and things like that. And I think that's great advice, to do that. And she said, you want to hold a duplicatable, fun appointment, and that leaders are always looking for other leaders. And so I love that, for us to just really think about who we want on our team And sometimes we practically act like we have to buy their starter kit to get them on our team. And that's just not the case. You know, no one bought mine for me, right? I wanted to get in this for the opportunity to make some money. And there are women out there just like me and just like you. Then she talked about, you know, what we have to offer. What do we have to offer and to show them the leadership of our company? And so she also, let's see, who, what, why. Okay. So then the next one, anyway, so Jeannie she was really great. The main thing I took away from her is let's sell our opportunity. Let's not shortchange ourselves by just trying to get a bunch of personal use consultants. Just don't do that. Okay. The next speaker was Kim McClure. Kim McClure is one of the ones that put on the workshop, her and Jen Thetford. And she is a diamond circle national, about to be inner circle. And she played a video. I'd seen it before, but you guys need to Google it. Bob Newhart. And you need to look at the video called Stop It. Okay? I'm not going to spoil the video, but just look it up. And so and the whole thing is, anyway, you can look it up, but she talked about stopping your negative thoughts and that 95% of all thoughts are negative. And that, did you know that 83% of women in America are not happy with their jobs? All right. So what she did is she asked us to write down on a piece of paper 5 limiting beliefs as to why we could not reach a goal we really wanted. Okay. So what are the 5 things that come to your head that you say, well, because I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Limiting beliefs of reasons that's kind of what's stopping you. And it's usually like that 5th one, that's the big one, right? Some come to your mind real quick. And then she had us turn it around and write a power statement to like take that negative limited thinking, that negative thought, and turn it into a power statement. So I'll give you an example. Like she gave this example, like if you said, you know, your goal was such and such, and then your limiting belief was, I'm too old. Okay. It could be anything. I'm too old, I'm too young, or whatever. But let's say it says I'm too old. Instead, so your power statement, you flip it around and say, I have maturity and wisdom that others can glean from, and you can go from there to make that a power statement. Okay. And so, you know, she had us do that and write them all down. And then we had to go back and put our power statements with it. And then what she wanted us to do was have this where we could read them at all times, and that we could set a timer on our phone, actually a timer, and read the power statement, not the negative limited beliefs, but read the power statement every single day for 2 or 3 times a day. She said at least 2 times a day. And do it not just 21 days, but do it for 3 21-day cycles. So do it for 63 days in a row and read those power statements, because you have to retrain your mind not to think negative, right? And so I really thought that was really, really good. And, you know, in the power statements, you can add scripture to verify what you're saying. And so I love it. And so this is one thing I am going to take mine and type it up and put it on my phone and set a timer to start reading it every day, you know, because those negative thoughts are always going to keep coming back until you retrain your brain and replace it with a positive one. She also talked about promoting $1 million unit. And then, so if that is your goal, you know, or that, you know, as $1 million director, you get to go on stage and your whole unit gets to go on stage behind you. And so when she was going for $1 million, she said, you know, she would paint that picture of asking the consultants, where are you going to stand on stage when we cross $1 million? Are you going to be one of the new directors? Because, you know, anybody that becomes a director during that year get to go on stage because she was part of the $1 million year. You know, are you going to be a DIQ at that time? Are you going to be a new red jacket at that time? A senior consultant? Where are you going to be? And just paint that picture $1 million, you know, all year long. And one of the goals she had is she made a point not to never drop below 20,000 wholesale when offering a new sales director. And she said she never did. So I thought it was pretty impressive. She's a wonderful person. She speaks to the heart. I just really loved her training. Okay, the next one's Daisha Wiga. And Daisha is a national sales director as well. And she talked about people in production. And she said, you know, NSD is in God's timing. So if you're a consultant listening to this, of course, that would mean maybe red jacket is in God's timing, or directorship is in God's timing. But she talked about building $1 million unit, and then the directors would emerge out of it. And that if you have a unit size of, well, whatever your unit size is, there's usually at least one DIQ with every 50 unit members you have. So if you have a unit of 100, then you should have at least 2 women in there that can go DIQ that would want to become a sales director. And so if you have a unit a little bit smaller than that, then you just got to build up your unit size. And one of the things that kind of stood out to me, she said, if you're forming a national area, you are actually looking at having 2,000 area consultants. So kind of look at that, because when you have your 20 directors, no, all of them won't have 100 unit members, but you'll have some bigger units. And, that's what she says it ends up being. And she said she worked 40 to 60 hours a week when she was working to do her first million. And she did it that year. She had 6 first line offspring and 2 second line. And that to focus on 100 stars, 100 star consultants, 25 a quarter. And she also focuses on just the basics with her consultants. And, you guys, it's what we already know. It's the 3 Ps: perfect start, pearls of sharing, profit level. And, that when she was working with her people, she was recruiting so many that the star consultants got on her books first to do the debut party. And then she would actually interview the first 15 people for the new people to help them get in red. Because, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 should do it, right? She always looks for leaders with some qualities of, if they have respect, if they have hustle, if they have grit. That's the kind of leaders that she's looking for. And, she also says, who goes where you do? In other words, like there's events, and if you're going, they're going. Those are people that you can really work with. What consultants that hold and do interviews on their own. They hold parties and they hold interviews on their own without being forced or coerced. They respect their own mother. I thought that was interesting that she talked about that. Spend the time with the right people. And she says, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, but you have to find the quantities you have to have the quantities to find the quality, right? You really do. And so I loved her. She was just excellent. The next one, and the class that I went to, you guys, was people that felt like they were called to National Sales Director, and it was called NSD Now. And so there were other classes too, and this is just the one I went to. So it may not apply as much to you, but I think a lot of the tips would be good for just building your business, period. And so Kristen Myers was the next one that she taught in the class I was at. And she talked about, she's a national, of course, about making a list. And she was great to me. She said, make a list of all the crazy things that happened to you along the way. All the crazy things. And she said, praise him, praise the Lord in the craziness. Because we all have crazy stuff that happens to us. Things you're like, I didn't see that coming, right? But we all have it. And she quoted Proverbs 16:3, which says, commit your works unto the Lord. And it's so crazy. At church this morning, we were studying about things like that and the plans, about committing your works to the Lord. And I just love that. And she said, do you believe that verse is for you? And she said that there's 3 kinds of belief: conditional belief, and that's where you believe it would happen when the condition of your life looks different. For example, like, when my kids graduate, I'm gonna blah, blah, blah. When my husband gets a different job, I'm going to. When summer comes, I'm going to. Like, you believe it, but you believe it if and when this other thing happens, then it would happen, okay? And then the second kind of belief is called judgmental belief. And that's when you judge someone's position by something that they have. For example, like, well, she's successful or she's director because her husband always supports her and mine doesn't. Or she's successful because she don't have any kids. Or she's successful because she's single. Or she's successful because she's married. Or she's successful because she has money. Whatever. She's successful because she lives in a big town. All right? So that's judgmental. Like, you judge someone else's success based on something you feel like that's why they're successful, okay? Judgmental belief. And then there's delayed belief. Delayed belief is always something that I'm gonna do blank, and then you put another date on it. And it's not like of course you'll set goals and stuff, but you don't believe it for yourself right now. But you do believe it for yourself in the future. But that's a doubt in there. She said, pure belief is when you say, there's no other thought after you say, I believe. I mean, that's just it. It's not if, it's not when, it's not all that. It's just, I believe, I believe I will be a national sales director. Period. That's it. Okay. And then she said, it takes risk, it takes faith, it takes foresight, but you can't wait for more proof. You pray for your people more than you complain about them. And she said that if you complain about your team, okay, this is for you red jackets too. You complain about your team, directors, you complain about your unit members, Lord may not give you any more because he may say all she does is complain about the ones I've already given her. Instead, pray for your people more than you complain about them. So I just really like that. And always be aware for what you're asking for and stop interrupting it. So, and she said, say the I am statement and it will find you, like I am a national sales director. And then the last part of hers I thought was really good. And you can do this for whatever your goal is. Like she was talking about getting your 10 first line to become a national sales director. And so she said that she would say, I am looking for 10 first line foundational women to form our national area. That's what she called it, 10 first line foundational women. And she communicated this goal, not just to her unit members every now and then, but every single thing she did, she talked about this goal. She said at every party, she talked about it, at every meeting, at every follow-up call, to all her personal customers, and every interview. So that everywhere she went and everything she did, she talked about looking for 10 foundational women leaders that could be a part of something big, part of making history. And, she also talked about, branding your vision. Like, what could you be? Like, I'm the first blank, I'm the first national in South Georgia, or I'm the, first red jacket in my city, or I'm the first car winner. I'm the first, whatever, right? Find it. There's something you can be first at. And if you don't know, tell your director to help you, right? She did a couple extra things to just kind of promote this. And one of the things that she did that I thought was really great is every week she had a blank sheet of paper and she would bring it to the sales meeting or whatever meeting she went to. And she had the lines, like a first line, and then she had a column that said second line, a column that said DIQs. And every week she'd write the ones that are already there. And then she said, come on up here, where you're going to be. And she'd hand it out. She had it on a whiteboard, but she'd also hand out a piece of paper. And every single week she'd start with a blank and she'd write who's there and who was going to be there. And so it just kept it in front of the team the whole time. And you could do this as well on a different scale. She had like the first Friday of every month, she had a little DIQ slumber party, and she got to know them and who would be a 1 month finisher. Because once one person does it in your area, then other people will follow. And she had DIQ team meetings. The very first week someone went into DIQ, she vision cast, they selected a unit name, they did future goals of that unit once they debut, like what are they going to be in 6 months, what's it going to look like their first year, and then they listed future hostesses and future prospects, and then they had a working meeting, and for an hour they would call and book. And it wasn't uncommon for her to get 3 or 4 new recruits at that DIQ team meeting. So I thought that was pretty powerful too. She also talked about crazy people that come in your unit or even on your team. She said, let the crazy people go. Like, the sooner they go, the better. So they don't just, ruin it all, right? And she said that the goal is for every new director to debut with a DIQ. Is coming up right behind her. And she talked about Philippians 1:6. He who began a good work in your life will bring it to fruition. And I love that verse. And that you're a part of God's story. So she did a fantastic job. Okay, next is Ari Hathaway. Ari, National Sales Director as well. She's a national offspring of Daisha Wiegand. And so it was pretty cool seeing them talk about how Ari came in the company. And, Daisha actually recruited her on a Friday. It was very inconvenient. This girl in her unit said, hey, can you come interview this girl? And Daisha had been at a ball game. And she said, honestly, she said, she told what she was wearing. And she said that, Ari didn't look that impressive either. But the girl ended up signing up, of course, and is now an offspring national sales director and is an amazing national. She said it's always inconvenient sometimes when you are inconvenienced to go do something with Mary Kay. Just expect big things, because if you said, I am not doing that today, but then if you make yourself do it anyway, big things come from being inconvenienced. But she talked about the transitioning over, and that when you're called to do something, that you don't have to explain it. So if you feel like you're called to be a national, maybe you're called to be a director, a pink Cadillac director, a $500,000 director. You're called to be, you can even be called to be a red jacket, right? But if you're called to it, you don't have to explain it to other people. You don't have to say, well, I just feel like you don't even have to talk about it, because you know in your heart if you are or if you're not. And I think it's when this is for me, I think it's when it's something you just can't let go of. You can't let go of it. You can't say, that's not my goal anymore, if you know in your heart that you're called to do something. And so she talked about focusing on who goals instead of do goals. And I thought this was pretty good. She said, a do goal is like, I want to lose 20 pounds. And a who goal is, I want to live a fit and healthy life because I want to raise my children, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And so more about who you are instead of a checkoff list. She says, people go on diets all the time, I lost 20, and then they find them, then they have to lose them, and they find them, but if you change your thinking of who you are, and so, with your Mary Kay business, think about how you do your goals with that as well, and describe who you are. And one of the things I liked about her that I circled really big, she said, everything you're going through is a test. And God is watching your initial reaction to every situation that happens to you. So when things that are trying with you in your Mary Kay business or other areas of your life, maybe you had a superstar and she quit on you. Or maybe somebody went crazy on you. I mean, there's honestly, if you have been in Mary Kay even, half a year, maybe even a week, things start happening crazy to you, right? And you're like, what in the world? Write them down, because everything that's crazy is a test. How are you going to respond when somebody does this? Because then when you get to the place you're trying to be, you've got some experience with some things that have happened to you. Because nationals that come up that have had, they don't really, it doesn't happen, that they've had no setbacks, nothing ever crazy has happened to them, right? So you have to have some things under your belt, some experience when you're going for a big leadership position. So I love that, because I thought, okay, just things started coming to my mind, and I thought, all right, how did I handle that? Tests that have happened to me, and how did I handle that in a great way, in a good way? How could I have handled that better? And so she said, the date of your goal, that is the date is God's date for you. And there might be something you need to even give back to God, And she said, everything happens 2 times. One is in your imagination, and the second is your reality. And that you want to think of looking at the other side. And I love this. So let's say you have a goal, and she said, I'm just going to use mine like national. So instead of just looking at that finish line, what does your debut look like? What does your national family look like? What kind of events are you going to do as a national? Don't just look at it as a wedding. Look at it as a marriage, right? Something that you're going to work on. And so even if your goal as a consultant is directorship, don't just think about finishing. Think about what that unit's going to look like. What kind of accomplishments do you want to have in your unit? What kind of meetings are you going to do now that you're your own director? And so it makes you think further than just ending it at the goal. Okay. So that way you're not just stopping when the wedding's over. We don't want to get a Mary Kay divorce right after we get married, right? And she talked about your ability to make money is equal to your ability to transfer your skills to other people. So do your business so others can emulate you. Model and transfer. That's our job. And she talked about stop training as much, instead show them. That people see you in action, they're going to learn a lot more when they see you in action. And that there's a big epidemic in the world, and it's called loneliness. And mentorship in Mary Kay is it destroys this epidemic. And that the people right now are more connected because of phones. You always got your phone in your hand, but they also feel more disconnected because of social media. Before, you didn't really know what parties you were missing or what events you're missing, but now you have to look on Facebook and see it, and you get FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Instead, she said, I got a new thing that we're going to do in Mary Kay, and she called it Joby, joy of being included. And we can give that to everybody that's in Mary Kay. We can include people. They cannot have FOMO. They can come and enjoy their life because they can be with all of us. right? So that's what we're offering women today. I just love that. And she said, on the other side of your pain is freedom. So don't forget that. And then she did suggest a couple of books. There's 4 books she thought, if you're a reader, and they say leaders are readers. So one of them is called The Ideal Team Player, and another one is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And she said those are 2 good reads. And then 2 others she mentioned was The Last Arrow and Warrior of Peace. So y'all can Google those if you want to. Okay. All right. Next. I'm actually doing pretty good. Okay. Cecilia James, the National Sales Director. And she said that one of the things that she felt when she crossed over to National Sales Director, like the one word to describe it, is peace. Just peace. She said she slept like a baby that night. And the biggest impact she had on me was she had went to an event, and like a lot of us may have, and she said, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? You quitting Mary Kay? She goes, no, I'm done. I'm not coming back to this thing in a director seat. And it was a future national event. And she said, I'm not coming back like this. Unless I'm a national, I'm not going. I'm not going to seminar in this suit. It's like she just was fed up, okay? And so she went back home, and she had 6 first-line directors and 1 second line, and she gathered her people together in a lake house. She told them to come and bring as many people as they could. I think she had 40 people. She cast the vision. She said, I'm serious about this, so let your yes be yes and your no be no, and if you want to come along and do this with us. And she actually had 14 DIQs that month, and the next month they had 17 DIQs, and they finished National Sales Director in 5 months. So you guys, that just shows me that it's a decision, and when you're passionate about something and you share it with the people like to get on board with it. And she said, work on the goal, not towards the goal. And you get everyone going at the same time. That's the key to finishing big things like this. One thing she did is a 100 interview challenge, and she actually had her people give her names to interview 100 people. And she tried to do them all face-to-face, if possible, or over the phone. But she tried to do face-to-face, and she did it in 90 days. And she gave a cash drawing away for that. She gave the $1,000 drawing. And so she said, I don't give a gift for people listening to the marketing plan. I do not give a gift for people signing up. She says the gift is that they get to sell Mary Kay. That's the gift. And so she just has a different attitude. Sometimes we're like, please call in. I'll give you this. I'll give you this. If you sign up, I'll give you this. She just quit begging people. This is a gift we have, our business. So, it's a different way of thinking, you guys. Carol Anton talked next, and she is the National Sales Director Emeritus, a 19-time Inner Circle National Sales Director when she was a national. And she had a lot of just great things to say. She said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all, that you got to get to the heart, and that your belief is your engine, but your vision is the fuel to that engine. And she really talked about reading the Mary Kay books over and over again, that have no excuses, no status quo, that you got to move. You always have to be moving forward. You're not sloppy. It's funny she said that. That you need to be a people builder, and to own your own dance and create something that people can follow. And when you're called to do big things, that you don't have a choice anymore. You just have to show up for duty. The imprint and have a connection with your people, all of it, and make it a movement about the movement, not about you. And she talked about, just like some of the other ones did, about getting in front of 100 people a month, 25 a week. Teach new people to trust that this process does work. And then she talked about, as a consultant, that number one, you're going to sell for self. In other words, to make money, you're going to sell products. And she talks to her consultants, and I'll tell you, consultants that are on this list of this, that, if your director calls you, call her back. If she texts you, text her back. If she emails you, email her back. That's just common courtesy and respect. And then she teaches her new consultant about customer service, and she trains on that. And then she also talks to the consultants about recruiting for themselves to make money. But as a sales director, the number one thing you do is you recruit for yourself, personal recruiting. Number two is you recruit for the unit, help them get recruits. Number three is you sell products for yourself. Number 4, you train your people. And number 5, you do customer service. And so that's just kind of like the order as a sales director is a little bit different than as a consultant. And, she talked about keeping it simple, sweetie. Mary Kay used to say that, KISS, keep it simple, help enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. And she talked about the 5 leadership levels. And the first one is called the position. And that is like you've got the position, you've got the suit. The second one is permission, and this is relationship. She said you can like people without leading them, but you can't lead them without liking them. So I thought that was pretty good. The third level of leadership is production, not like wholesale production, but like producing something, build credibility based on your results, building momentum. And then the fourth level is people development. That's when you're building offspring directors. And then the fifth is personhood. This is national sales director. You're developing people to become level 4 leaders, and then you're going to create a legacy. So I thought that was really great, and it's something we all work into. And she quoted the scripture, Ephesians 6:7, work as unto the Lord. That do your work as if you're working for the Lord, and you'll work in a place of excellence. And she quoted, Mary Kay used to always say this. I remember her saying it on stage. She'd say, look like a girl, act like a lady, because she's really big on image, right? Okay, look like a girl, act like a lady, think like a man. And what she meant was that is take the emotions out of it and work like a dog. And I can hear Mary Kay say that. And that's what she left us with. So it was, Carol, she's such a great speaker, and she just, her words just flow. She was pretty amazing. The next speaker was a lady named Julianne Nagel, and Julianne is an Inner Circle National Sales Director, and she talked about how to get through struggles, and she called them adventures in your life. And it's all about how you view it, that you have to have a plan. And she said it's kind of like having a plan. If your house gets on fire, how are you going to get out of your house? You already know that in advance, so that when the fire comes, you don't panic, you know what to do. She said, so you have to have a plan of different things that may happen to you and know how you're going to get through them. And she's been through a lot, and I don't have time to tell her whole story. I actually had a chance to sit with her on the way back from Pittsburgh to Atlanta for 2 hours. And she told me her story, and I was so intrigued by it. She had a 1,400-pound horse that she was riding on a trail, a thin trail, fall and could not get up and fell on her, 1,400 pounds, 3 times, and crushed her. They thought she would never walk again. They thought she was going to bleed out and die. I mean, of course she didn't. She's up there talking, and she told me the whole story. And I wish I could have time to tell it to you, but it was so inspirational, and all the things that happened to her during the time. And even as she said, first of all, she thought, I'm going to die. And she said, so I just thought, you've lived a good life. You've done a lot of good things. A lot of people don't get to do what you've done. And she kind of taught herself on that. And then when she didn't die right then, she's still laying on the ground. She thought she couldn't move her legs. She said, okay, you're going to be a paraplegic. You're going to be a paraplegic, but you can be like JF Kennedy? Anyway, I'm thinking about the wrong president, but anyway, you know who I'm talking about, the one that was in the wheelchair. And he said, I'm going to be like him. I'll be a motivational speaker. I'm going to go around. I'm going to talk to people. And she said, that's the thoughts I'm thinking. I'm not going to be a burden on people. And then, she just had all these things that she went through. She's one of the strongest people I've ever met. She even had MS. She had a husband that tried to kill her, put a gun to her head. I mean, she's had some struggles, you guys. One of the most positive people. She said, where did I learn it? Mary Kay. Mary Kay Ash. Mary Kay, to think positive. She goes, I used to be super negative. And she said the 4 core points that she shared from the stage was that, number 1, you be fully present and aware in each moment, whether it's good or bad. And number 2, be consciously grateful in every situation. Have an attitude of gratitude. And on the plane, she taught me all these things that happened. It was amazing what she told me. All the things that, because she had that adventure, she said, I don't call it an accident. How all these things that were great in her life happened from that. She said, keep the lessons. Number 3, keep the lessons, let the experience go. And then acknowledge them, and then share the lessons that you learn with others. And then number 4 is build a bridge to get over it. And so she put a radio up on the top of the stage, and she said, we all have a radio, and we all have when negative thoughts come in and things that you're thinking, you have the power to turn the dial on your internal radio. That by talking about all your problems just gives your problems power. So you've got to switch it and start thinking about something else and talking about something else. And we've always heard that what you talk about grows, right? So if there's something you're talking about, you got a big problem and you keep repeating it to your 10 best friends, and every time you tell it, think about it, So really think about that when you have stuff. And I know that's the truth too, because anyway, I don't have to go there. So the next thing they had that last night was a culture panel. And what they did, they had Donna and Sweeney, Sue Kirkpatrick, Candy Lewis, Donna Maxwell, and BB Slickle at the front. And it was about the Mary Kay culture. This is what makes us different, you guys. It's not that we make money. You can make money doing anything. It's the culture of Mary Kay. And we have to pass on that culture, and we have to train our new consultants. We can't assume they're going to get it. Like we sign them up and we assume they know everything. They don't know anything. Well, how would they know unless we teach them, right? And so, that we want to train on the golden rule and, compliment our unit when we see them doing it right. Read the autobiography of Mary Kay Ash again with fresh eyes and really think about what she said and why she did some of the things she did, and be in the joy of sharing the product and the opportunity. We talked about, the more you love, the more you share, it will come back to you 100-fold. And that we are the public relations of Mary Kay. And you can Google Mary Kay culture on YouTube. There's a great video on it you can watch. And she talked about, are you trying to be a legacy leader or a celebrity leader? And a celebrity leader, it's very self-centered. It's very self-centered. I heard that recently, not on this particular one. They said, celebrities, they want fans. They want fans. Legacy, they want friends and relationships. So it's a big difference. And that to keep God first, that we may be the only Bible somebody reads. And that's so true. And one of the things Dawn talked about, was the average income of women at the very height of their career. This is the average, is $45,000 before taxes. You take all the women in America at the height of their career, is $45,000 before taxes. And we're not even, the Mary Kay girls and the ones that were in the room, we're not even on that curve because it's so much higher. But the average woman, she said, find those women that they're in the height of their career, making $45,000 before taxes. Teach them to profit $1,000 a month by selling, and then add the car and the commission, another $2,000 or $3,000 income. She said they'll never leave Mary Kay because they got freedom, flexibility, and they're making what they were making at the height of their career, So I thought that was really good. They had a lot of other words of wisdom, and they all talked about who influenced them in the Mary Kay business and their life, and it was just really phenomenal. And then Linda Tupin talked about the 5 retirement plans. Linda Tupin is National Sales Director. She's fixing to retire in just a few weeks, and she's passionate about her Mary Kay and what she's going to do when she retires. And she said she is she's going to talk to women in Mary Kay. And she said there's 5 retirement plans in Mary Kay that you may not realize. Number 1 is being a national sales director, right? When you debut by your 60th birthday, you become a national sales director. Number 2 is that you can debut as a national anywhere between your 60th and your 65th birthday. And you do lose some of your retirement every year you wait after 60 years old, but still you can become a national. And of course, as a national, you can give your unit, all your consultants, to somebody, a family member, hopefully. So from that time, you're like, give me my daughter, my granddaughter, my cousin, my aunt. Somebody like your aunt, your niece, that you can. It's their inheritance. Beautiful. Number 3, you can be a top director with lots of sales directors under you. And she said, look for offsprings and customers at least 10 years younger than you, so that all your offsprings and your customers don't die out, right? They need to be younger so they can keep going. Number 4, you can be a top director with not a lot of offsprings and just build a massive unit, $1 million director. And then number 5, you can have a smaller unit, but a huge customer base. And, when you get ready to retire, you can actually give your customer base to a family member. There again, you still have to make sure you've got customers and stuff at least 10 years younger than you, so they don't all die when you do, right? And so she talked about that a lot. And then Pam Tull, and I'm really almost done. Pam Tall, National Sales Director, she is someone that I grew up listening to on tape, CDs. She was amazing, amazing. I can listen to her. She's funny. You know, there's different speakers. I just love her. And she talked about never underestimate the power of one conversation, and that it begins with you and it ends with you, but it's nothing about you, like your goals. It starts with you, ends with you, but in the middle, it's nothing about you. You've got to help people. And that everything is about God and through God. And the answer to every single thing and every problem in Mary Kay is book a party. Every single thing. Any problem you got, book a party. And that the unit size is everything. And she said, you know, if you're anywhere between 50 and 100 unit members, that do the 100-yard dash till you get there. There's 2 greatest days, and that's the day you were born and the day you discover why you were born. So that's short and sweet on Pam, but she was amazing. Jen Thetford talked about, she's a National Sales Director. She did the event with Kim McClure. And I love Jen because she's funny. She's hilarious, actually. I just love her. And she talked about money. And you guys, she said that worrying about money and money problems is the number 2 reason for divorce. Number 1 is loss of a child, and number 3 is infidelity. But number 2 is money problems. And that money problems are number 1 reason why people turn to drugs. Number 1. Isn't that something? And she said the lack of money management, and this is where you need to listen up, is the number 1 reason directors leave Mary Kay, and consultants too, the lack of money management. And so she talked about learning to manage your money. And she talked about if you've got yourself in a tight where you charge too much stuff, and maybe you just made some not great mistakes, not good choices with your money, just some bad decisions that you can get out of it and you can turn it around. And so one, you have to be willing to do the work to turn it around. 5 or 6 parties a week will just about fix anything, and may take you a year or 2 if you've got a lot of debt on credit cards because you made some bad decisions with your money. But you can get out of it if you're willing to work. Number 2 is find a really good tax advisor that can help you, people that understand our business. Number 3 is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself of any kind of shame, of anything you're going through with that, and get yourself a plan. And she said, out of your mess will come a message, and you'll be able to help people. And she, she talked a lot more, but that was her main message. And so, that spoke to me, that spoke to a lot of people in there. And then Cheryl Steinman, Cheryl Steinman is, of course, National Sales Director, and she is recently retired. And she really talked about how Mary Kay came from small beginnings, that she never forgot that. So she always greeted people and talked to people. And that one of the tips she gave sales directors, and I thought this was really great, and consultants, you could use this for the future, but she said anytime that she was getting ready to speak, like if there was going to be guests there, before she spoke, she would go around and meet all the guests. I mean, like every row, she would go down and she would meet the guests. Meet them, introduce herself, say, hey, this is Cheryl Steinman, I'm going to be the speaker. I just thank you so much, and tell me about you, how far did you drive? She said, now try to remember a little bit about them. And so she basically warmed up the audience, and then when she got up there to speak, then she would call someone by name and say, well, Laree Barfield, thank you for coming. I know you drove an hour over here, so I really appreciate that. And she would just mention people by name. And she said you could almost recruit all the guests, because they were more of you had a connection with them. And so she always has tried to do that. And she gave the credit to Bernice Beaumalin, who's a National Sales Director from Canada, that gave her that idea. She also said, take time to listen to the stories of people, the stories of the hostesses. Learn a little bit about them so that you can know how Mary Kay can fit in their life. And you guys, I'm almost done, so we're going to go a little bit over tonight, but because we normally end it right at an hour, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this. Because these are some really good nuggets here. And I'm ending with Gloria Mayfield Banks, and hers was so amazing too. But Cheryl said, that one of the things that she did is she called them beehives. And that she would have red jackets, like a little team, a little beehive, okay, like that had a red jacket in lots of little small towns. 5 or 6 little small towns, she would build them. And a lot of times she had even more than that, like maybe 20 little small towns or 20 little areas. She said, I never was one of these that had these massive unit meetings. She said, I would have like a little group of, 3 to 10 over here, a little group of 3 to 10 over here, and that she would, go see them. And she said that, that of her red jackets, that a third of them were hot. They're producing maybe $4,500 a month for your unit. And a third of them are in the middle. They just love being in red, and working their business. And then a third of them are kind of hot and cold on and off. And she said the hot ones, she'd visit every single month, that little pod. And then the middle ones, she'd go every other month. And then the other ones that were hot and cold, she'd go about every 6 months. And she would do breakfast meetings, noon meetings, evening meetings, and that she said 25 red jackets will give you $50,000 wholesale a month. That kind of spoke to me. I don't know about you. And that 25 red jackets is $1 million unit. $1 million unit. So, and that 5 red jackets that you'll never be out of a free car with Mary Kay, just with 5 red jackets. You will always be driving free with Mary Kay. So really talked about building our reds and teach our consultants to have a strong close and a strong opening to their skincare class. And one of the tips that I got that I don't know if I'd heard this before. I've heard what she said, but I didn't think of it in this way. And one of the things that is worth mentioning tonight for every consultant director on the call, she said that when you do a party, you tell everyone, you say, I just want to thank, Lorraine for being my hostess tonight. And let's just everybody go around, tell me who you are and tell me something sweet about the hostess or something that, that you just love about her. And then she said, look for the edifiers, the ones that go, oh my gosh, and they really know how to edify someone else. And she said, that's the girl that you want to recruit. She said, because she's got the heart of Mary Kay, knows how to build other people up. And then she taught them to, do that opening like that. And then at the very beginning of the party, you say, you can do 3 things for our hostess. You can purchase some product. And she had a plan and I'm not going into all that, but that anyone that purchased at least $40, that the hostess got $10 free. That's how she did it. And then, she said the other thing you can do is you can, we need 2 people to book parties because when 2 people book, Susie Q gets this, and she had a hostess gift. And then she would ask the hostess, she would say, like if it was Lorraine, she would go like, Lorraine, who are these 2 you think can book for you? And then the hostess, she said, well, look, well, my mom and my sister. And she goes, okay, no pressure, but I'll be getting the date for y'all's booking at the end. And then she said, the third thing you can do is y'all can watch me. And at the end, you can ask me how much you can earn in Mary Kay. And then she would go through, the party part. And then on the close, she closed with a roll-up bag. And then at the end, she would look for the hostesses and then the edifiers and ask them, who wants to stay and learn how much we earn. And she said when she did, those people that stayed, she'd say, I got a couple questions I want to ask you. Did I have fun? Did I physically work hard? Could you imitate me if I taught you how? And she said, okay. She goes, now here's my sales tickets. Add them all up. How much is it? She said, so whatever it is, let's say it's $500. She goes, okay, I made half of that. And then she'd have that paper agreement. She puts it right in front of them, old school, a paper agreement. And, she can sign them up right there. Anybody wants to go ahead and sign up. And what are they signing up to do? Parties. So, it's pretty simple, but pretty amazing too. She talked about, of course, getting outside order sheets and things like that as well. And she did say, get rid of the robbers, the embezzlers, and the pack of wolves in your home that are stealing your money. She said, the robbers, that's your husband. Honey, can I borrow $50? I got to get so-and-so, so-and-so. And she said, the embezzler, that's you, where you take your money and you go to the grocery store and you spend it all at Winn-Dixie, and then the pack of wolves, that's your kids. And she said, used to be like, Mom, I need $5 to go to school. And now the kids are like, I got to have $40 to go to school because we're doing so-and-so. She goes, that's the pack of wolves. She says, so protect your money from the robbers, the embezzlers, and the pack of wolves in your home. She was hilarious with that. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about is Gloria Mayfield Banks. She was the last speaker, of course, #1 in the whole, nation. And she is amazing. Get this. She has 1,400 1,045 unit members. 1,045 unit members, you guys. She did 8 years of doing 2 million. 8 years she's done 2 million as a national with her unit. She said, embrace who you are and you be you. Teach your unit members how to win instead of how to work. It's more fun to win. You show people how to win, they'll get excited. Show them how to work, they won't take off, right? Be decisive, make a decision. She said, have emotional management. Isn't that the truth? Compartmentalize your life. No's do not distract you from your future. Everybody's going to get no's. And she said, you know, that every woman has had a dark spot in her life. Everybody has had something that's happened in her life, and that you grow from your faith and your walk with the Lord when that happens. And she talked about that for a little bit. And then she did also say, you know, that the answer for everything is to book a party and get a gold medal. Book a party and get a gold medal, and that will solve any problems in Mary Kay that you have ever had. And that faces build your future. And she talked about, you know, to figure out where you can win, and also figure out where your people can win, and that your passion drives the purpose, and that don't give up. And that there's just 3 things you need to do in Mary Kay: sell, interview, and lead. And if you book 2 every day, her big thing is she teaches her whole area, all those 1,045 people, is to book 2 every day. 2 something, an interview, a party, a facial, every single day. Don't complicate it. Book 2 things every single day. And that the business will pay you a lot of money if you don't get caught up in the distractions and you remember who you are. And she says, quit talking about stuff that doesn't work. And that directors to remember, celebrate our red jackets, bring back that power of red. And then she just gave a last few tips, and I'll kind of close with this. She said, you become like the people you hang around, and that people who complain steal your joy, and you have to learn how to cut them off, the complainers. She said to learn to increase your clarity and decrease your distraction, and create pride and know what is important. She said the slowest road, this is for directors, the slowest road to building directors is building directors. Instead, pay attention to your whole unit. Everyone in your unit is important. The superstars will reach out. I mean, she's got 1,000 people. Do you think all 1,000 are going to become sales directors? No. But she's got a humongous unit. There's a lot that just want to sell some product, right? And the consultants, you may be listening to this thinking, I just want to sell, I don't want to be a director. That's fine. Enjoy that business as a consultant. Be the best consultant. Have the best customer service. She said that accept what makes you tick and embrace it. You know, there's different things that motivate different people. And whatever that one thing is, you know, that could embrace that. That makes you, and that could be something that you really can, you know, whatever it is. I mean, like, let's say you're a clean freak. I mean, you know, embrace that. That's you. And, you know, learn how to make that work for you. She said to be strategic, that you can either, you're going to go forward or you're just going, you know. And she talked about 2 highways. And she said, you know, Highway 95 just goes straight down all the way to Florida. But if you're trying to get to California, you can get on that highway forever, and you're never going to get to California until you get on Highway 70 and go, you know, west. And she says, so make sure you're going forward, not just going somewhere. She talked about learning how to fall down gracefully, and especially the people in the room. She says, when you fall, everybody sees it because you're a top director. And, you know, she said, learn how to fall down gracefully. And when you do, you have to swallow your pride and learn how to ask for help to someone that's been where you are, and that could lift you back up. That everyone needs a mentor, and to work the numbers, they never lie. You've got to work the numbers, learn how to get production, learn how you get paid, look at all the avenues of income, and show your people how to do the same. So you're not leaving money on the table. And then she finished, we finished the retreat with this video, and it was called, the song is called Doubt. And it's by Mary J. Blige wrote the song, and Taylor Swift was performing it, and then they did it together. So you can look that up on YouTube. It's Mary J. Blige and Taylor Swift, and the name of the song is Doubt, and I'm going to read it to you. And she said, you know, we need to get back to where, she said, used to back in the day when seminar was was going on that the company could feel the heartbeat of the sales force. Like, they're coming in town, they're at the airport, they're all getting to the hotel. And by the time they opened the doors for people to go in to get their seats, it was crazy. The energy, like people ran to their seats. It was just like, wow, people were like so excited. And she says now it's kind of flipped and we're waiting on the company to energize us. Instead of we are the heartbeat of the company. The sales force. With no distribution, we are the distribution. Without us, Mary Kay is nothing. They just got some product sitting there. They depend on us to get it out there, right? And sometimes we're waiting on the company to tell us to sell a million miracle sets. We need to be selling it anyway because it's a great product. So she really just talked about that a little bit, that we are the energy of Mary Kay. So I want to read this song to you, and because we all doubt ourselves sometimes, don't we? We all just have doubts, and we wonder if we can do it, and we let other people tell us stuff. And so this is a great song. I'd never heard it before. So it says, you said I'd never be a leader. You said I'd never wear a crown. If I wanted to be someone, I should learn to settle down. I tell myself, you'll never go further. I warn myself, you'll never be better. You don't know me that well. I made it to the end. I nearly paid the cost. I lost a lot of friends. I sacrificed a lot. I'd do it all again because I made it to the top, but I can't keep doubting myself anymore. No, I can't keep doubting myself. No. Now you're looking for a leader. Now you're looking at a leader. Now you're looking at a queen. You said I'll never be someone, but now I'm pulling all the strings. Won't let me back down. You'll never go further. Can't turn me around. You'll never be better. So no one's stopping me now. I made it to the end. I nearly paid the cost. I lost a lot of friends. I sacrificed a lot. I'd do it all again. Because I made it to the top. I can't keep doubting myself anymore. No, oh no. You think you know, but you don't know the half. You think you beat me down, but I'll have the last laugh. I'll keep getting up because that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to be the best me. Sorry if it kills you. I made it to the end. I nearly paid the cost. I lost a lot of friends. I sacrificed a lot. I'd do it all again because I made it to the top, but I can't keep doubting myself anymore. No. I can't keep doubting myself. No. And so you guys listen to that song this week and think about those words. And, I would just say to our unit members, I know this was a lot of tips for directors, but I think you can just embrace it. The Mary Kay way is the only way to do this business and really be massively successful. Yeah, you're going to keep up with the times and all that kind of thing, but it's that face-to-face. It's the dreaming, it's the goal setting, and all of that. That's what's going to make us really go in Mary Kay and really make those dreams come to life. It really will. So thank y'all for letting me go a few minutes over tonight. I just did the best I could, kind of recapping. I just absolutely loved this event. And it was one of these that I will never forget it. And, you guys, it's one of those things I did not earn the right to be there. I'm just very blessed and I'm very grateful to have been invited. And so I'm sure when they do the next one, guess what? I'm going to have to earn my way there, right? Because I'm sure you just wouldn't invite the same person every time. So I wouldn't expect her to either. And so let me see, I got a little chat here. Yes, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Yes, that's who was in a wheelchair. Thank you very much. You know how you're sitting here talking, and you're like, who was that guy? FDR is what I was trying to say. But you guys, thank you for listening tonight. I'm going to stop the recording.